Hey, what's up, Alternative Universe? It's Local Emo here. I'm sorry I didn't post the last few times we were supposed to. I got busy. School recently started up, so yeah. This week's, I guess, theme is like creepypasta or something. So I'm gonna be reading The Russian Sleep Experiment. If you guys have heard of this, you would probably know this is terrible and it's inhumane. But let's get into the video. So I have my laptop here. I'm gonna be reading it from here. Sorry if I sound like really nasally. I have a little cold going on. Alright, so let's get started. Russian researchers in the late 1940s kept 5 people awake for 15 days using an experimental gas-based stimulant. They were kept in a sealed environment to carefully monitor their oxygen intake so the gas didn't kill them, since it was toxic in high concentrations. This was before closed-circuit cameras, so they had only microphones and 5-inch thick glass porthole-sized windows into the chamber to monitor them. The chamber was stocked with books, cots to sleep on but no bedding, running water and toilet, enough dried food to last all 5 for a month. Test subjects were political prisoners deemed enemies of the state during World War I. Why would you do that? Even if they're prisoners, why would you do that? God, we're all human. Everything was fine for the first 5 days. The subjects hardly complained, having been promised, falsely, that they would be freed if they submitted to the test and did not sleep for 30 days. So they basically just lied to them, which is not cool, because they're expecting to be free after this, or I'm just not gonna question it, because their conversations and activities were monitored, and it was noted that they continued to talk about increasingly traumatic incidents in their past, and the general tone of their conversations took on a darker aspect after the 4-day mark. After 5 days, they started to complain about the circumstances and events that led them to where they were, and they started to demonstrate severe paranoia. They stopped talking to each other and began alternately whispering to the microphones and one-way mirrored portholes. Oddly, they all seemed to think that they could win the trust of the experimenters by turning over their comrades, the other subjects in captivity with them. At first, the researchers suspected this was an effect of the gas itself. Jesus Christ, what is wrong with people? After 9 days, the first of them started screaming. He ran the length of the chamber, repeatedly yelling at the top of his lungs for 3 hours straight. He continued attempting to scream, but was only to produce occasional squeaks. The researchers postulated that he had physically torn his vocal cords. The most surprising thing about this behavior is how the other captives reacted to it, or rather didn't react to it. They continued whispering to the microphones until the second of the captives started to scream. The 2 non-screaming captives took the books apart, smeared page after page with their own feces, and pasted them calmly over the glass portholes. The screaming promptly stopped. So did the whispering to the microphones. They kept them in there, literally, just for an experiment, and didn't care if they were screaming or anything, or smeared page after page with their own feces. Literally, they used their crap to friggin' cover it so they couldn't see what they were doing. I don't know, who knows what they could have been doing. They could have been trying to kill themselves or something. I mean, that's insane. I don't understand why people would do this to literally another human, which is terrible. Hold on, I had to reload the page again. After 3 more days passed, the researchers checked the microphones hourly to make sure they were working, since they thought it possible that no sound could be coming with 5 people inside. The oxygen consumption in the chamber indicated that all 5 must still be alive. In fact, it was the amount of oxygen 5 people would consume at a very heavy level of strenuous exercise. On the morning of the 14th day, the researchers did something they said they would not do to get a reaction from the captives. They used the intercom inside the chamber, hoping to provoke any response from the captives they were afraid were either dead or vegetables. This is terrible. This is why I don't have any faith in humanity. Like, honestly. They announced, "We are opening the chamber to test the microphones. Step away from the door and lie flat on the floor or you will be shot. Compliance will earn one of you your immediate freedom." To their surprise, they heard a single phrase in a calm voice response. "We no longer want to be freed." Debate broke out among the researchers and the military forces funding their research. Unable to provoke any more response using intercom, it was finally decided to open the chamber at midnight on the 15th day. The chamber was flushed of the stimulant gas and filled with fresh air, and immediately voices from the microphones began to object. 3 different voices began begging as they pleaded for the life of loved ones to turn the gas back on. The chamber was opened and the soldiers sent in to retrieve the test subjects. They began to scream louder than ever, and so did the soldiers when they saw what was inside. 4 of the subjects were still alive, although no one could rightly call the state of them in life. Their food rations past day 5 had not been so much as touched. They were chunks of meat from the dead test subjects' thighs and chest stuffed into the drain in the center of the chamber, blocking the drain, allowing 4 inches of water to accumulate on the floor. Precisely how much water on the floor was actually blood was never determined. All 4 surviving test subjects also had large portions of muscle and skin torn away from their bodies. The destruction of flesh and exposed bone on their fingertips indicated that the wounds were inflicted by hand, not with teeth, as the researchers initially thought. Closer examination of the position and angles of the wounds indicated that most, if not all of them, were self-inflicted. They left them in there that long that they don't even want to come out. They're like happy there for some reason. I don't understand how you could push them into that limit, which is terrible. Like, it's just, I don't even understand why they would do that. I mean, it's gas. It could be toxic. Like, it could, like in the friggin' story, it did something to their brain, so they're not really alive, really. Like zombies. Alright, I'm gonna read one more paragraph and I'll be done with this. The abdominal organs below the ribcage of all 4 test subjects had been removed, while the heart, lungs, and diaphragm remained in place. The skin and most of the muscles attached to the ribs had been ripped off, exposing the lens through the ribcage. All the blood vessels and organs remained intact. They had just been taken out and laid on the floor, fanning out around the desecrated but still living bodies of the subjects. The digestive tract of all 4 could be seen to be working, digesting food. It quickly became apparent that what they were digesting was their own flesh, and they had ripped off and eaten over the course of days. Yeah, no, I'm done with this. I am getting out of here and deleting my history, because, like, you know, I don't want anyone to freaking have to read that themselves. So, that was the Russian sleep experiment. I don't understand how people could be so inhumane, because they literally push them to, like, if you know what a Wendigo is, they literally push them to that level, which is not cool. So, I don't even know. But that's today's video. If you liked it, leave a comment, like it, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in, what, 2 weeks? Okay, awkward ending, goodbye.